Atomstack R1 Pro, got one right here in a box given to me by Atomstack to demonstrate, and we're going to do that. But first we're going to have to put it together, I would imagine. You don't necessarily have to have an Atomstack laser to use one of these, but I happen to have one sitting on the table here. But we're going to do the assembly part first, because getting into how to use a rotary and all of that is just a completely different subject, and that'll be the subject of a separate video. What we're going to do here is get this thing out of the box, see what kind of parts and pieces we have, and if any assembly is required. Coming up. So let's see what we got here. Some black foam. There we go. We have a couple of books here. Might have to investigate those. And we got a whole bunch of parts and pieces here. Ooh, snack pack. Do not eat. Shoot. Okay. Got a bag of some parts and pieces there. Some little standoffs. We got a level. A measuring tape. And that is to, well, when we get into the whole thing on how to get your rotary set up, you'll need to know the circumference of your materials, or the diameter, or know how to work with pi and 2 times pi times the radius. We'll get into that later too. No, I won't do the math. We'll make it simple. We got a couple pieces here. So I'll get all this taken out and set up, and then we'll see everything we have. You have a little caliper there. Plastic, not digital. You have to read it. Got some alien wrenches, a little bit of hardware, a little open end wrench, your cable you will need to connect it, rollers, the chuck itself, I would imagine that is a support for the far end. I have used rollers before, I'm not new to this. I'll make sure I'm not missing anything here. Sometimes I'll have some little thing packed somewhere. Nope, that's it. So, get all these laid out. We'll see what we got to do. We'll start off here. There's 2 separate components here, really. They do the same thing, but they're different. This is for items, for example, like this. And I just had to go around and find things that were round so I could do this. So we're going to start out, and I'm going to explain this one here a little bit, because you're going to have to make some adjustments depending on the diameter of the item you're going to use. For example, this fits on there just like it came from the factory. If I was going to do something that's smaller in diameter, this would be kind of borderline, because it almost falls through the rollers. So no, I won't be engraving this. I just needed to find something round. So to adjust that, if you look at the bottom here, you'll see you have a couple little thumb screws. So I'm going to need to move this roller in probably 1 notch. So just remove those thumb screws and then move this over till the holes line up with the next station, so to speak. So you'll notice there's another thumb screw up here in a slot, and this is for belt adjustment. Because I just moved that in, now the belt is way too loose. So I will need to loosen that screw up down there and slide this off to the side like so until my belt is tight on everything again. And once it's over there, I just tighten this back down. So now that's much better. And there's more stations. You can get these almost right next to each other. If you're let's say you want to engrave a pencil, you can move this all the way in until they're almost touching each other, and to be able to put your pencil on there. And yes, people do engrave pencils. So there's a view of the bottom again, and there's that adjustment slot. Now, something else you're going to have to keep in mind as you're doing that is your cable. Your cable connection is right there. And to be able to plug your cable in, you're going to have it in this opening. So I'm going to get a cable out of here just for demonstration purposes here. The ones with the black ends, like this, is for a non-Atomstack brand laser. So if you have a third-party laser, like I said, you don't have to have an Atomstack laser to use this. So you have or a Tur or a Two Trees or any of the other brands, X-Tool, that's what this black cable would be for. But since we are going to be using this on the A30 here, you'll notice the two ends are different. The end with the two keys on it, this end here, is the end that will plug into the stepper motor. And again, you'll have to have that into the middle so you can reach that easily. So we'll just slide that back over. We'll set this in. Be careful when you're doing this so you don't bend any pins, because if you ever bend a pin, you're going to have a really hard time getting it straightened out again to plug that in. And it should go in with no effort. Plug in like that. We can snug our belt up again. When you go to slide that though, however, I almost unplugged it doing that. You're going to need to pull the wires up like this so that it can slide by. So there we go. Well, that one's all ready to connect. Okay, just notice something. This is the insert we took everything out of. Got these guys here. These are actually leg extensions. I won't be using these. I have my own custom risers. But these are the leg extensions to extend your, raise your laser up. It's empty, right? No, it's not. There's two more of them in there, because after I got to looking at trying to figure out what those are for, I realized that those must still be in the box, and they are, so don't miss those. Real easy to overlook, and they're very lightweight. You can't even tell. Okay, while we're talking about risers, these are the risers they send you, and what you would do is set the leg of your laser in there and tighten this little thumb screw down. As I said, I'm not going to be using these. I have my own custom ones, and I'll show you what I mean here. You see this block here? This is my mount. So if I take the laser off of here and put it back, it will always be in exactly the same place, because I have a spoil board grid engraved on here. And yes, I got a bunch of crap stacked in there right now, but I needed some space. So what I would do is lift my laser off and set these in. And if one of them was not tall enough, like that, I just add another one. And so on and so on and so on. So that's the point of the riser. You're going to have to be able to raise your laser up to be able to use a rotary. If you're interested in this type of application over this one here, and this is fine, I mean, it will work just fine, but if you have a spoil board and you want to keep everything lined up like that, I did do a video on the mods I made with this, and there'll be a link in the description on where to see that, and then also a link at the end of the video. Okay, getting back to our first rotary here, you may be wondering what this is for. If you have something long, and I don't have anything round and really long here to demonstrate this with, but you would set this out here to support the other end. For example, let's say this was real long and it would do this. You can set this, and adjust. I haven't adjusted the rollers. You can adjust the width this way, and you can adjust the height. So it would support your material out here so that it wouldn't be flipping. I can do that, make an adjustment real quick here. They do give you a set of Allen wrenches here. You would just loosen up these two screws. Just loosen up those two screws, set it where you need it. Tighten it back down, you'll be good to go. You can also adjust the difference, the width between the rollers by loosening these screws up, and then you can move it over to where you would need it. And this is where you're going to need that little wrench, because the nut will turn on the other end. I may have that adjusted too far apart now. And you can adjust, oh, that'll work. And you could adjust your height there. And incidentally, that's what this is for. is to make sure your project is level. Yeah, I'm a little bit high down there. I would need to lower that a little more. But you get the idea. Your project needs to be completely level or your engraving will be way off. So that's all the basics of the basic roller. So I'm going to set that off to the side here. Now we have the rotary chuck, and this is adjustable. If you wanted to, you could actually flip it over and use it this way. I would put a weight back here, make sure it didn't go running off somewhere. And while I have this upside down, this is where that cable will plug in, whether you're using the white-ended one with an Atomstack or the black one with a different brand. So we're going to rotate this back around and bring it back to the original spot. There's also a little protractor here on the side where you can get your angle adjusted. And it looks like it needs a slight bit of calibration here, but there's a screw there that you can loosen up. Okay, there is some adjustment right here on the side so that you can get your 0 on 0. There's a little white arrow there, and you can just tighten that back up. Now you know where 0 is, and no, I didn't check it with a machinist square. I'll do that later. And then you can lock this in place by this knob on the side. Just tighten the knob down. So now, you got a lot of different options you can do with this. This opens up just like a lathe. So if you wanted to put something in there, okay, here's something. Kind of scrabbling to find round things. And you want to engrave on that pencil, by golly, you can do it just like that. Well, lots of other things you can do with these. I have worked with these with different brands, so I'm pretty familiar with what everything is here. So you have these with little ball ends on them, and you can screw those into slots on the chuck. Again, this is a lot like a machinist lathe. Got lots of different options here with what you can do. So you need to grab something from the inside. Really struggling for things to just grab around the shop here to kind of show. This is actually the lid off of my water glass there. But there's also these jaws here you can use, which I'll demonstrate here in a minute, to grab things from the inside. However, you would not be able to get these jaws in there. So if you wanted to engrave on this here, you would open this up to where that would kind of get into the right area there. So then that would hold that, so you could do it in engraving around the outside of that. And it kind of, I don't know how well this will show on camera. As you can see, those little legs there, as I'm going to call them, will grab that little bitty inside spot. So there's one option there. You also have the options of using these jaws here, and they will grab from either the inside or the outside. And there's two different styles. There's the L shape and the step shape. And they have holes in them, as you can see. Comes with hardware. You would just mount these to the chuck itself. And I'm going to just pick the middle hole here to pick something. There are two sets of holes there that you should probably use if you can to keep anything from possibly shifting. So now, once you have your jaws on there, you could put something in there like this. You can just tighten those jaws down. And then, of course, you'll want to do this. Make sure you're level, and I'm not. I would need to make a couple of adjustments, and oh, I don't have it in there straight. Yeah, a little closer. And if you need to, you can use your other accessory out here. I would raise that up. Or, now this is more for like the end of a wine glass, and I'll show you how where that dovetail part goes here in a minute. Or if you're doing a golf ball. But that can also be used on the inside. And I've got water in here. Okay, if you wanted to grab something from the inside, I don't have anything here that this would actually work with. You'll have to adjust the jaws to accept it. You can also flip these around. Yes, I know my hands are dirty. You can also flip these around and have them so that this portion is down here. It can be completely flipped, or you can use these little steps. You're going to have to size it up for whatever you are going to be engraving. Okay, let's say you want to engrave a golf ball. And I found this in the yard, and we don't even live by a golf course. But, golf ball, want to engrave it. What's a good way to hold it? I'll show you a little something here, and that's where this little guy here is going to come in. So I need to take these back off and put these back on. So I'm going to do that real quick. So I've got these pins back here, and I probably didn't need to put them in that close. So we're going to open them up a ways. This has a dovetail on it and has some thumb screws. This slides right into the little dovetail opening at the bottom. So we'll get this up here. Make a little bit of adjustment here on my diameter. Let's tighten these thumb screws down. I'm going to lock that in place. And now you can engrave a golf ball. There's a bearing here in this end. Of course, you'll need to check your alignment with your level and everything. But you kind of get the idea. And it doesn't, you can do a larger ball as well. I did do this once on a rotary, just as a joke to a friend I have that does some golfing. And something else I'll point out on this little end here is this is spring loaded here. So it'll keep a good tension on that while it's holding that ball up against those pins. So you're not tightening the ball up inside these pins, you're just using these pins to hold the end of it in a triangular area. Actually, it works out real well in the dimples here. And then the spring tension keeps that tight on there and keeps it from spinning freely. Okay, here are the step jaws that I call them. I think they call them ladder jaws. So that could be used for multiple different sizes here. Let's grab this. We could get that back in there, like so. Or maybe something here. For something like that, I would be better off with these jaws as the deeper grip on it. These do not grip enough to grab that because of the taper on it. Again, it depends on what you're trying to do. It would grab that, but if I was actually going to do an engraving with this, I would put a support out here in the end, because this is a little, sketchy, I guess you would say. That gives you an idea what the ladders are for, and you can also use it to grab something, again, from the inside, depending on the diameter of it. Okay, a little tip here for all these little parts and pieces that come with your rotary. Get you a little plastic container of some type. This is one of these containers we usually use in the shop here for screws and hardware and that type of thing, because I can label them and we index them, and shop tip anyway. So you want something to put all them little parts and pieces in so that you don't lose them, because with all these little pieces here, it'd be very easy to lose them or drop something on the floor and not be able to keep track of it. So a little tip there to have something to put everything in. Okay, again, getting into actually using a rotary is going to be a subject of a whole other video, and that will be upcoming here before too long. But I wanted to show the different features of the two different assemblies here, both the rotary chuck and the basic roller unit, and what all the little components are for that come with it. So, if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. You'll be watching here. There'll be some more videos on these rotaries, of course, and using the Atomstack A30. If you would like to get one of these rotary sets, there'll be a link in the description. I'm sure Atomstack would be more than happy to sell you one. And better yet, the Atomstack A30 Maker Pro. Or is it A Pro 30? Atomstack A30 Pro Maker. Atomstack Maker A30 Pro. There we go. I knew it was something like that. to get the old noggin operating. So now I got some stuff to clean up and figure out what to do with this craft beer. Got a pretty good idea. I'm Roger in the shop. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.